So I felt really good about this photo, and I showed it to my wife, and she says, people aren't going to know what that thing is. And the things that are going to come to mind are probably not things that you want people thinking. Nevertheless, I am crazy about this photo. I just got a flash. I I used to shoot a flash a lot, like 10, 20, 100 years ago. Uh, but ever since I switched over to Leica, I just don't. Right, part of an M shooting experience is to be stealth, not to flash the world with your presence. But I've seen some photography lately that has really inspired me to give flash another try. For example, this photo. Now, this is a shot from the 70s. The artist is Robert DeFranco. And I was looking at a gallery of mostly 70s images lately, and a lot of them were using flash. And I was like, whoa, what's all this flash photography about? And I love this shot. Uh, he has used the flash inside of his car. Right? This picture does not look anything like this without the flash. So this one and some others in the 70s series just got me a little primed. And then, right, so TBW Books out of Oakland. Now, I don't know all their books, but this one right here is really good, by Mimi Plumb. It's called Landfall. And I've got to show you some of these pictures. Now, Mimi, she's using medium format. It's a Plabel Machina 6.7. Some people love all the fine detail and the texture, but what I really like are these shadows, right? Check out this shadow back here. Off to the side, strong presence. Again, here, look at that shadow on the edge of the bulb. This one, look at that shadow. Right, and this is not a flash that's like right next to the lens. I think it's a big camera. The flash is a decent distance away from the camera. I don't know that she's hand holding it. I think it's more of like just up off the camera, like a tall flash, maybe on a bracket. Right here, this is the camera and possibly the kind of flash, right? If you flip it to a vertical orientation, right, tip that forward. I don't know quite how she's doing it. I'm piecing that together. Here again, just look at that shadow. That's fantastic. Ooh, even this is a flash shot. Right. No, that's a flash. Okay, here, this is it's a different strategy, right? But this is a flash shot, right, which digs deep into those windows and lets you see like that quilt on the wall. Now, I didn't buy the same camera, same flash, right? I'm like, well, let's just see what I can do with this thing. So for 44 bucks, I got a IA32, and I'm putting it on my my M6 TTL and my MP. And then I'm also putting it on this little riser just to get it a little further away from the camera. So yeah, here I am. This is my first roll, trying out some flash strategies. Let's see how I did. Yeah, that's not a sperm. That's not a piece of dog poop coming out of a dog poop bag. That is a Nimbus 2000 dog toy. I highly recommend it, except don't let your dog just chew on it. Okay, I've gotten on a tangent. Yeah, so, right, boom, check out that shadow. Strong presence, right? Becomes part of the photograph, right? It's texture in the ceiling. Now, this one, right? Again, I'm shooting vertical, so I'm getting that side shadow. Um, right, I just left the flash on my camera for this first roll. A little bit of like what can I get? Kind of the lazy way. Um, and I do, it's a little bit of shadow there. Yeah, a little pause, but it's not a strong. I wouldn't say it's a strong element. Now here I like, that flash is making the bars, right? Those shadows are coming across. I didn't quite frame this well enough, but uh, I like the idea. Okay, here I've got three in a row. Uh, I hope you already know about my quarterly photo submission thing. So every quarter, right, you can submit one photo to me and I'll throw it into a slideshow. We get to see what everybody sends. This quarter, the theme is space. Uh, and it's almost everybody's like, you mean like outer space? I'm like, well, yeah, that can be one way to go, but right, it's intentionally open to interpretation. So I thought about using like a box, and this is an Amazon box, right? Maybe you've also gotten an Amazon box and you open it and it's just like mostly some paper and the little thing you bought, but it's mostly just empty space. And it really makes you wonder what Amazon is doing, and how this could ever be the most economical way of shipping. But this was out without the flash, and then I tried this one where I'm again, that's the sunlight bouncing off the floor, but then I'm also flashing it. Boom. Right? I like this one. Almost feels like it's some kind of celestial object orbiting the sun, a comet or something. And here's a different strategy with the flash, right? I like sort of some of the bright spots and the shadows, and you kind of get more into the box this time. You get the paper sort of looks like a dragon or something. Now, if you're wondering what I purchased, it's just like a little USB power outlet thing. So, um, okay, moving on. This is inside of a school. Again, I'm sort of exploring the space theme, right? So behind this door is a space, a room. It's for artful learning, experience, reflection, creativity, inquiry. It's also a student prayer room. But then there's a sign that says absolutely no students in workroom. All right, this one again, the space theme, it feels like an elevator to the moon. As far as I know, that's what it is. All right. Now, not all these are flash, I should say, right? It's like, just because I have a flash doesn't mean every photo is going to have a flash. Right, and again, I'm trying to be kind of sneaky here. Uh, yeah. Just in a little diner with my boys. I always feel weird taking pictures of anybody at work, but then I look at some of Robert Frank's, like the woman in the elevator, and some of his other photos where I'm just like, you got to do it sometimes. Yeah, sometimes the solitude of being in the bathroom, you just, right? Yeah, use the bathroom, but also look around. Like, is there a photo here? And this is that same diner. Um, yeah, encourages people not to spend too much time in there, I guess. Now, this is my son George in the same diner. And this is just window light that's given him enough light to, um, use 1/25th of a second, so it's nice, right? Nice and sharp on his eyes. That's the Summicron version 1 rendering at 2.8. Pretty good. All right, this is these prints across the front of this car. I know these prints. These are cat paw prints. My son's pointed this out, and I just had to make a photo of it. All right, now I'm in some sort of like place where you can bowl, you can drink, you can eat, you can play games, you can do an obstacle course, you can play laser tag. You know, it's got everything. Um, and this guy, he's trying his luck at the Fortune Castle. These girls are uh, raking it in Stuffy Lane. This boy has figured out Treasure Dome, and if you're wondering what's in Treasure Dome, it's those little like hamburger gummies. They're pretty good, and you can rearrange the order, like put your lettuce on the bottom. You know, it's those things. These girls are really wanting one of I think the Pikachu is what they wanted. And here's my son George with chocolate cupcake mouth, and he is winning. I don't know if he won Pikachu. Shoot, I forgot. All right, back to some flash shots, right? I knew the door was going to get hit with the flash, but there's that, right? The sun is on the back side of my pupper dog, Shadow. I like how the flash is given sort of her two heads, almost, right? And that's her with her little piggy. Oh, speaking of my dog Shadow, we got her this really good toy. Like whenever you get your dog a toy, you don't know, right? Is it going to last more than a day? Is it one of those toys that you have to supervise or not? This is one that we should have supervised. It was like a fish, a tug fish. Yeah, this is how we found it. Here's my wife saying, "Shadow, what did you do?" Yeah, you can see my little flash, right? Right. Look at my wife's hands. All right. I take my boys out to the track, let them play around. It's fun. This is not the Flash. This is just Flare from the version 1 Summicron. I got like I don't know if it's like late 50s, early 60s, right? But uh, at F2 and 2.8, it is a flare bomb. My other son, Ellery, they made up this fun game. Right after running some 100s and some 50s, they decided to see who could throw a hacky sack the farthest. And this is their distances, right? They're competing against each other. See who can throw the farthest. And this is one of my favorite shots on the roll. Yeah, right. You see the hacky sack, both of them with some funky stances, not prompted at all. And yeah, nice little memory of the game that that they made up. And it was a good day at the track. And yeah, Ellery's tongue sticking out. Yeah, then they made up this game. It's sort of like soccer and hockey combined. Okay, I'm just walking the track and sort of, I think I'm like, ooh, look, some sort of composition that's working. And I think that's pretty true. It's kind of a good find. Now, I don't know why these are at the track. Maybe the football team uses them. Um, Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I took the photo. I just yeah, these are at the track. Um, and there's that little ball there. I don't know. It sort of reminds me of a photo that I don't like, and it reminds me of some that I do like. That's part of the great thing and bad thing about like I look at tons of pictures all the time that my own photos start to remind me of others that I've seen, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, sometimes both. Now this also still out of the track. I don't know what this is. If you know what it is, put it in the comments. Okay. Yeah. So my cat was just laying in this beautiful sunlight, and I ran to get my camera. I was like, "Oh God, I gotta get this," and I made it. I made it. But that's just window light. Yeah, we're coming up on more flash photos. You're like, oh, this guy told me he was gonna practice using this is my son Ellery waiting on the bus in the morning, so it's actually a lot. Ooh, look at this. Look at these coma birds. Oh wow. Yeah, it's one reason to leave Christmas lights up all year round. All right, Lewis is. Now I've got a lot of pictures like this that are better than this of him in this spot. But try not to flash. I should have turned my camera sideways, right? When here my flash is right above the lens shooting at him, so the shadows are all just behind him. That's not that much fun. Kind of behind him and down. Same thing here, which I wouldn't have gotten any shadow back behind him on her. This is she's a girl. Um, Her name's Shadow. It's confusing. Yeah, this is a daylight shot, right? This is sort of like I think it was like an EV10 day. Like a little overcast, not quite rainy. Definitely has a flash, right? Straight on flash look. Now here, right, the Leica, the sync speed is like right. It's not even almost the 60th of a second, and it means you're letting a lot of ambient light. It also means that sort of if you've got some ambient light and you're not careful, you can get some blur. Right, I was moving my camera, but then I also flashed it. Right, so and I think this one's actually kind of cool. Right, it's like a pile of sticks. You get the dog's legs. Um, Probably cooler than if it hadn't been blurry, at least. Yeah, no flash here. I just saw that reflection in the window and thought it was kind of neat. I still think it's kind of neat. All right, I take my pupper on these walks, and sometimes I give her a ball on the walk just to carry. But in this instance, she dropped the ball. Georgia's gonna have to go into a ditch to go get it. This is with the flash. Boom, right? So this is sort of it's daylight, but it's sort of a dark day, and most of the light's coming from behind George, and so it's you can yeah. I think the flash here you can't really tell there's a flash, other than like my dog's hair has a lot of texture. Yeah, and again, like without this is a flash. Without the flash, um, my son's skin is just not as bright. Right, it's right. This is again, he's facing away from the sun um, on a semi-dark day, and I think the flash has given the rock a little more texture too, a bit. Now here, I should also say though, these last few, this is Oh, have I switched? This one I know. This one's 24. This one's 28 millimeter. I think that one is too. Yeah, this is 28 millimeter, and I'm actually focused at 1 meter, but I'm at f22. Right, so uh, or I don't know, maybe it's 16 or 22. I kind of wanted to see what that would look like, right? And it's like sort of sharp. I've been looking a lot of Salgado's work lately, where he is, you know, sometimes he nails his focus, and sometimes he's just zone focusing and being quick. And so I was like, yeah, I'm nowhere near focused, but I'm stopped down enough. Let me see what it looks like. Yeah, hear the flash, right? This I think is an auto mode. Um, I'm really enjoying manual mode and geeking out on guide numbers. But this one's auto mode. Auto mode tends to give a nice gentle um, touch. It's not like a super overpowering auto mode. This again has flash, right? Not quite what I was wanting to work on, but I think sort of a practical use case. This is like, you might say it's a little too much flash, or maybe not, right? It's like look at all that hair texture, and the stick is popping, and I don't know, it's got a look to it. I'm not sure that it's a look that I'm typically going for, but I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe this is my new thing. Now, I've shot this scene a lot, but what's different this time, right, is that flash. It's making the numbers. I was like, ooh, mailboxes are going to be reflective, right? Ooh, 9436. Right, and you get the leaves have a little more light to them here in the foreground. Oh yeah. So, uh, my dog and my cats aren't really getting along yet. One of my cats immediately hides behind the TV. Do you see her? You see her back there? And then my pupper, she likes to watch the cat back there. So this is a very common scene in my house. Is Goldie hides behind the TV, and my shadow dog watches. And it looks like she's watching TV, but she's really watching the cat behind the TV, and you can tell obviously that my flash is doing the work here. Yeah, I like the texture that it's bringing out. Now this is the lounge, obviously, as you see on the sign, top right. Took my kids up to the snowy mountain, except it wasn't snowy that day. It was a rainy day. Uh, we took our sleds. We actually found a place to sled, sort of. It was where the snow snowplow had pushed the snow together, and that was a sleddable hill. Um, no flash here. This is the 28 millimeter spherical 2.8 Elmerit, and it's pretty beautiful, right, for a 28 millimeter lens. The out of focus background has nice soft rendering. And then, yeah, this is the end of the roll. I bulk load. I never quite know what my last frame is going to be. And once again, this worked out. My son, George, likes to throw the wall. No, not throw the wall. Throw the ball against the wall. Although here it sort of looks like he is throwing the wall. And yeah, let's just get in here, right, and enjoy some pushed HP5 in Xtol. Now, I don't want to say what I'm going to try next, but I am going to tinker with what I've been doing recently. Right, and if you just don't know, right, film, right, this is the line where on the white side, that's been exposed to daylight in the bulk loading process, right? And it sort of looks like solar flares. All right, to summarize, I've been inspired to try a flash. This was my first roll. I see some pretty good shots and enough to keep trying. My next iteration is going to be, I have some wireless flash triggers from my old days of back when I shot flash and Fuji's and Canon cameras. And I've got a few different flashes, so I'm gonna try some like off-camera wireless work. But again, with Mimi Plumb's style in mind of really trying to make um, the shadow like a strong visual element and not just like a whatever, right? It's like, oh, look at that shadow, and look at the work the shadow's doing, and then also just a little bit of kind of what are my textures and surfaces and shapes that I'm able to get out of using a flash. And yeah, it's kind of a fun thing to add, right? Like I've been, and especially because I don't like, I'm a dad, I work full time. I don't travel the world, right? I mean, I'm in a lot of the same spaces over and over and over again, and a flash just sort of adds, right? It's kind of like adding a new focal length to my lens collection, right? It's another little thing to to try, see what happens when I add it. Okay, I'll see you next time. Take care. Also, send me a photo for my quarterly thing. It's due March 31st. Right, if you don't know how to do that, look for the video about the quarterly photo submission thing. All right, take care.